All right. This is visible, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, welcome to the webinar, everyone. We are going to cover this particular topic. We need to understand what are the difference between APIs, LLM APIs, and open source LLMs, and what type of issues we can resolve after selecting the right one. Okay, based on your company's requirement. Okay. Um, So this is solving the major question for building a strategy for your company and make sure that we are not building any wrong infrastructure. Okay, so like cloud APIs we currently using the I'm saying cloud APIs which are for in terms of LLMs which are ChatGPT, Grok, Claude AI, and so on. Okay, these are the tools you use. These are these companies are also providing APIs for you to integrate a wrapper and build your applications around it. I will give you some of the examples you already heard of or already been using. Okay. Along with that, you have other option that is OpenAI. Sorry, open source. Open source is which is publicly available. The code is available, and you do not need to um, depend on a paid version of it. Open sources are free, and you can directly use these LLMs for your work. Okay. Some of the examples are DeepSeek, Llama, okay, by Meta. So these are some examples. So which is what we are going to cover today. We are going to understand both the dynamics so that it will be easy for you to make a decision on your product. Okay. So yes.
Question. So does it include the metrics configuration as well? The metrics. So for the production, so how many nodes and then so all these kind of things like the metrics when you
Mat-
suggest infrastructure, right?
Metrics in terms of
Hardware.
okay, yes, yes,
mm, Please explain on that one as well. So
yeah. All right. So now that you have a clear picture of what problem we are solving, we are making our strategy and being clear on whether to go for an API like ChatGPT, like OpenAI APIs, Grok, GPT, these APIs, or going for open source LLMs, okay, in which you need to build your own team and work on it. Okay, so we need to choose uh, one of them. Okay, and based on it, we are going our whole product life cycle or the cost of it, the performance, how our user going to use it, everything will be depend on. Okay, so that's the reason we need to very cautious about which one to choose. Okay, so um, now the major agenda, or you can say uh, the major agenda for today is this. Okay, these are the four parts I'm going to cover today, and these four parts are uh, strategic landscape. We need to understand total cost of ownership. We need to understand control and more document and hybrid fleet. Okay, there is one more strategy I included here. That is the fourth part. And before going to the fourth part, we need to understand uh, some of the chapters. Okay. Yes, recording will be provided. Don't worry. All right. So we have the strategic landscape, and these are the four major parts. Okay. Each part is specifying some concepts that you need to know, and based on it, we are going to um, come up to the conclusion to go for which solution. Okay, for a company. Okay, I'm considering that who joined today are more of a decision making side of it. Even if you are focusing on the engineering side of it, if you know these parts, it will be very beneficial for you to discuss in your company meetings, as well as be confident about which part to choose. Okay, you can suggest your leaders as an engineer that they should go for an API or a cloud open source LLMs. Okay, whatever you are implementing. Okay, so these are the four things we are going to cover today. This is the only agenda we have today. Okay, so let's start with the first part. First part is the strategic landscape. Okay, now um, these kind of decisions we take. Okay, the decisions we take based upon what um, what tool to use to implement our solution, or uh, take out a business value out of it. That's not a technical decision, to be honest. Okay, not as technical as you think. It is more of a strategic um, strategic decision. Okay, so there are some key pointers you should keep in mind while making a decision out of it. Okay, so there are a couple of 3 to 4, you can say, vectors you have to make this decision. Okay, so it is more of a cost, performance, control or privacy, and speed, basically. So these are a couple of 4, you can say, vectors to keep in mind while you are building your strategy around or making your decision around open source and cloud APIs. Okay, so let me show you a decision matrix I created. Okay, so this is a decision matrix. Very simple. You can see we have speed to market and we have control and privacy. Okay, um, when you talk about cloud APIs like Claude, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Grok, these are the tools that are available. You also have API access for them, some free access and paid access depending upon how much you want to pull value from, or how much you're using it. Okay, so when you building something, okay, let's say you are building an application, and if you use cloud APIs, it will be very fast because most of the part is taken care by these companies. Okay, like Anthropic, we have OpenAI, we have XAI, that means the Twitter. Okay, Perplexity, these are the companies that are available. Okay, and these are tools available by different companies, and companies take care of a lot of things: the hardware, the infrastructure, the software part, everything. Okay, so you just query it and it will generate a response to you. Okay, so that's what cloud APIs do. And the speed to market for this particular kind of applications are high. That means if I want to create an application today, I can create in a couple of hours, and I can ship it, I can deploy it, as well as people are going to use it, and so on. Okay, so that's why I also cover the vibe coding sessions in my um, AI engineer headquarters. So that's a cohort. So we are starting next week. So in which I cover these kind of things. The vibe coding parts are also available. You can one more thing I want to add here. Tomorrow on Discord, same timing 9 a.m. We are having a ask me anything session, so you can join that for free. Okay, on Discord. Now, when you talk about cloud APIs, the speed to market for building these kind of application, not these kind of application, but your own application that is wrapped through this APIs, the speed to market will always be high. Okay. On the other hand, when you talk about control and privacy, the speed to market will be very low when you are using any open source, because you have to be expert enough to use that open source, the code, and integrate with your application, use your own data set and everything. Okay. um, you should understand how to use this, how to integrate this code with your code. Okay, so you need experts for that, machine learning engineers, AI engineers. Okay. And for open source examples, we have DeepSeek, Llama, Mistral, Quinn. Okay, in which your control and privacy over every section of your application will be high. Okay, you can take care of everything. You can monitor things. You can decide which part should work in a certain way, and so on. Okay, so that's what the major difference between cloud APIs and open source. Okay, so
Open
this
source.
yes.
Here, is this similar to on-prem open source?
Yeah, you can consider that, because on-prem is where you are using open source application majorly. If you're building an on-prem solution, you are going for open source LLMs because of obvious reasons. Otherwise, you directly use private APIs.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
just a second. When you talk about these things, when you talk about speed to market, okay, so you have OpenAI, ChatGPT. These are the clear winners, you can say. Okay, if you want to build an MVP for your product, you can do it in weeks of time. Okay, using these applications. Okay, I think you have some of you might done that using vibe coding. You gave a prompt to these tools and they generated code for you, or you build a small application. I will give you one example today in the demo section, but until then you can use only factor that that is a, you can say, friction in between building a product using these tools, and is just your credit card as well as the API key, the two things you need for this. Okay, using your API key and your credit card, you can build these application easily. Okay, so that's the one thing. Okay, when you talk about control and privacy, so control and privacy is uh, when you have, let's say let's say you are working with a client. The client is from healthcare industry, and healthcare do not want anyone to share the data with any kind of private company, because ultimately these APIs are private companies. Okay, whatever query you are going to give here will be stored on their server. Okay, so we don't want that. If you don't want that, make sure you should go for open source, or you can say you want control and privacy on your data, and that's why you go for this particular part, that means open source. You build on-prem solutions. You make sure there are some companies who majorly focus on privacy, like you can say finance companies, you can say um, like healthcare companies, or these kind of organizations which work on a very you can say sensitive information about their customers and so on. Okay, so they want control as well as the privacy of their data. So make sure on these kind of on-prem solutions they go for this particular part, which is open source LLMs. Okay, so that's the major part. Okay, now the issue with this is like companies who are working with uh, like something happened with Samsung also. I will cover that later on, but yeah, so that is what the major differences. So this is just the clear picture, so just keep this in mind, and whenever you want to make a decision, make sure there are some pointers you should keep in mind. Okay, now uh, with our strategic landscape, the decision metrics which is clear to you, we need to understand speed and performance. and we need to understand control and cost. These are the two other points we need to understand. So decision matrix is clear to you. Next is speed and performance. Okay, when you want speed and performance, as I said, you should go for APIs. Okay, why speed? Speed is because all you need is an API key and credit card, and it will give you all the infrastructure, all the token size. You do not need any kind of developer, any team, any engineering team, nothing. Okay, that's why everything will be taken care of. Okay, so that's what the APIs do. So speed is most important in your case, then you should go for APIs. Okay, APIs offer state of the art for general tasks. Okay, you know about ChatGPT. It can summarize, it can do any kind of style writing. You can mention that don't use formal words, only using plain English or simple English. Do not use jargons. Okay, these kind of instructions understands. Okay, so these kind of APIs when you use, they are state of the art. That means very well defined in a very proper way. Uh, there's a huge engineering team that developed that. Okay, so you can pay them a little amount of fee, and you can use those APIs for general tasks. Okay, you know about this that ChatGPT also don't give you very specific, or you can say expert level responses for specific domains. Okay, not for all domains. It understand English language better. It can write anything. It can rewrite things. It can write emails for you. A lot of text generation task it can do. Okay, so that means speed is available to us, and performance is also available to us through these APIs. All we need to do is pay them and use those. Okay, now the thing is, as I told you, like ChatGPT is not going to give you superior performance. Okay, but it will give you a general performance that you can use. Okay, so that's what the speed and performance part is. If you need speed and performance right away, you can go for APIs. Okay, now um, one more point I added here, that if you want to achieve superior performance on specific tasks, you use fine tuning. Okay, we generally use fine tuning for with open source LLMs. Okay, fine tuning is used with open source LLMs. Okay, these open source LLMs are available like Llama and DeepSeek, Quinn, uh, Phi from Microsoft, and so on. Okay, these are the tools, these are the LLMs available to us, which are open source. I used a term here that is fine tuning. Okay, let me explain you right away. We are not going in the technical detail, but for now it will be fine for you. Okay, so fine tuning means, in a simple term, let's say I pull all the data from the internet. Okay, so if I give you an example of what data ChatGPT was trained on, so this is your data set, FineWeb. Okay, FineWeb data set is available. Okay, you can go, it will be available on Hugging Face, so you can check that out. You can see it contains 15 trillion tokens. Okay, from the internet. They use common crawl, uh, like a lot of web crawlers they use to pull text data from the internet. Okay, there is a whole text filtering process goes on in this. You remove URLs, you extract text, you do the language filtering that you want to train your model on English language only, and a lot of other things you do with this FineWeb. Okay, so FineWeb is already available like this. The FineWeb pipeline is available. At the end of it, you will get a raw text on which you can build your own LLM from scratch. Okay, if you have the power to do it, if you have computational power, so you can train your model. So you can find code here on AI Engineer HQ. You will find in the module 2, and we have built LLM from scratch, okay, in the project lab. Okay, so GPD from scratch, so you can find that part. Okay, so but again, you need computational power and everything to pull this amount of data. You can also pull a small amount of data from it also. Pick a sample out of it of 1 lakh or 100,000 values and so on. Okay, depending upon what exactly you want to build. But what happen is when you build this, it will create a base model. Okay, base model does not know what to do with that knowledge. It will just understand how to frame a sentence, what are the relationship between those, because internally it is using neural network, which we generally you can say the neural network architecture transformer. Okay, so transformer is used internally. Okay, so it will understand how to frame these sentences. Okay, your model will understand how to frame these sentences, but it will not understand what to do with it. Okay, if I ask a question, it is not a guarantee that I am going to get a response. Okay, so that will be my base model on this data. I'll use this code, I will pull the data from FineWeb, and I will create or build my model, or build my own GPT model. Okay, but the thing is that GPT model is a base model. We also call it foundational model. Okay, so that model does not understand what to do. Okay, it may understand how English language works and everything. It may understand what you say to it, but it is not a guarantee that it will give you what exactly you want. So what do you do? You fine tune that model on very specific task. That means once I created the base model, what I'm going to do, I'm going to train it how to answer questions. That's it. Okay, that's what Chat GPT did. Okay, they created their base model. Now, base model is not going to give you what you want, but you have to fine tune it or train it again on a very specific task which contains questions and answers. Okay, somebody asks, how are you? So it should respond, I'm good, how are you? Like that. Okay, so there is a big data set they use which contains only questions and answers. Okay, so they fine tune it on their specific task to how to answer questions. Okay, so that's what fine tuning means. Okay, generally base models don't do, they are generalized model, they understand the whole text but they don't know what to do with it. So we fine tune it on very specific tasks, and that's it. We can fine tune it for classification, we fine tune it for summarization, we can fine tune it for question and answering. Okay, all of these specific tasks. Okay, got it. So that's what open source models are available. We can use those models and fine tune for our specific task. Okay, now you understand speed and performance is important, then we will go for APIs. Okay, some of the successful implementation, one of is my AI. If you use Snapchat, okay, so Snapchat used there's a AI available in Snapchat which is my AI. You can directly chat to it. Whatever question you will ask, it will generate a response. Okay, and because initially OpenAI already did a lot of things, they created the model, they created their own API, they built a product and so on. Okay, so Snapchat, what Snapchat did, they used OpenAI's API. Okay, uh, with a like 750 million users. Okay, they integrate that API, and that is simple. Whenever you ask a question, it will hit the OpenAI's API, which is ChatGPT, GPT-3 at that time. Now GPT-4 and GPT-O and so on. Okay, so whatever model is, but whenever you ask a question, it will hit the servers of OpenAI and will generate a response and send it back to Snapchat. Okay, like this. Got it? So this is one of the successful implementation when OpenAI launched ChatGPT. Okay, so that is one of the example. The second one is Bloomberg GPT. Okay, so Bloomberg GPT is you already know about Bloomberg. So it's a you can consider that it's a company, and what they did, they used um, these kind of models to train on their own proprietary financial data. Okay, so again, the thing is, you can use chat gpt, but it is trained on internet data, which is a generalized data set. So you don't know whether chat gpt is giving me right results or not. If it is trained on the right data, it will give me right results. If it is trained on wrong data, it will give me wrong results, because that's how these models work. But when I talk about Bloomberg, so what they did, they pull their whole data set, financial knowledge for a specific domain. Okay, so for example, I run a soft, you can say, stock market company, and all of us have the knowledge of stock market. Okay, we continuously chat to each other, we talk about things, we create documents, we everything. It will be our proprietary data, that our knowledge in terms of any presentation, in terms of any document, we discuss everything in our meetings and so on. Okay, now after 10 years, what I want, I have a huge data set of all of these meetings and every knowledge we shared in this stock market. Okay, so this data, nobody has the access for this particular data. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to train my own model. Okay, or I can train, fine tune my own model on my own proprietary data set, which is a financial data which is not available anywhere. And somebody asks a question, it is going to give a very better response as compared to uh, any other chatbot available online. Okay, why? For a specific domain like stock market or financial domain. Okay, because I am using my 10 years of knowledge in that, and no other company on the planet does have 10 years of knowledge in terms of documents and so on. Maybe our competitors, but not what we understood about the market, or what our understanding of the market, or whatever data we have. Okay, whatever knowledge we have. Okay, so these are the two successful implementations. Okay, as I said, we need to understand speed and performance. Okay, which is the API part. I already told you. The second is control and cost. Okay, we need to understand control and cost, which is obviously for open source. Okay, so let me give you my example. So we are working on a product which is a knowledge engine, and that particular we are using open source LLMs, and all the things are open source in it. Okay, because first thing is we want control. Okay, because we are providing our actual clients and our actual customers for that particular product will be a B2B businesses or enterprise, in which they have a knowledge base, huge knowledge base in their company, and we are providing um, knowledge engine for them, so that they can access any data with a simple query. Okay, so don't, and the whole solution will be on premise, and they don't need to think about whether their data will be lost somewhere or not. So they have the whole control over it. So that's what we are building. Okay, so that is one of the example we are working on. When you talk about control and cost, these are the two major parts when you go for open source. Okay, you heard about HIPAA or GDPR. Okay, these are the compliances, you can say, or you can say some of the governance parts. Okay, which is very important. Okay,
Healthcare.
yeah. So if you are using working in healthcare, or any, you can say, sensitive, where sensitive data is involved. So what do, you keep in mind that you should following these properly. Okay, whatever model you are working on, for example chat gpt you're working on, let's say, so it should understand what these guidelines are. Okay, it should understand that some information should not be shared. It should understand that there should be no bias, no discrimination, all of these kind of things. Okay, if it violates, it will be come to your company's repo. So we don't want that, so we will cover this particular part as well. So we need to taken care of a lot of things when you are building your own open source or using your own open source. Okay, so one of the examples I added here, that is one of the employee from Samsung, it like leaked the source code to ChatGPT or internal meeting ChatGPT. Okay, generally people do this. Okay, one incident also happened when we were working um, in defense also. So in defense, there are a couple of teams, and from some company, I get to know that an employee from that company uh, uh, uploaded sensitive information on ChatGPT for to generate to know what response this will uh, ChatGPT will give. But the issue is when you push anything to ChatGPT or ask anything to ChatGPT, it is going to store somewhere. Okay, maybe they are going to use that communication data to train their model again. Okay, whatever. Now, what happen is when you train these kind of models with any data, it can be used somewhere else. For example, I uploaded by mistake, I uploaded an API key. Okay, and when somebody else asks ChatGPT to generate a code, so ChatGPT used my API and pushed it to that person's code. Okay, to mention that this is the API, you can use this API. Okay, now my API is somewhere else, generated somewhere else. Okay, so that's the issue. That's a major issue with these kind of applications. So that's what happened. We should not push our code or ask ChatGPT about the sensitive information of anyone. Okay. Um, Indeed, the company claims that we do not use conversational data to train the model. Okay, but that's a private company, so we cannot say anything. Okay, so this is what cost is. So when you are building on-premise solution, you have the control, you have to monitor everything. There should be a expert involved. There should be a team for machine learning engineers or AI engineers to make sure everything is working fine. Okay, there's a lot of other things, but again, um, that completely depends on what you exactly want to do. For example, in the Snapchat's example, they wanted the solution fast, so they don't want to implement their own solution, so they just integrated their solution with OpenAI's API, and they are fine with using this token size or whatever. They're fine with the bill generated. Okay, so now, most of the companies don't want that. Most of the companies work with healthcare, they work with finance clients, and so on. So these enterprises don't want to expose anything. So they majorly always go for on-premise solution or open source solution. Okay, got it. Now, these are the major paths I told you about the strategic landscape. So based on these concepts, you should easily decide what exactly it is. Now, the next thing is we need to understand total cost of ownership. Okay. And before that, I want to ask a question to you. I'm coming to this particular part. Okay. So before that, I'm going to ask a question to you. So out of this, which one is your primary concern right now? If you are a decision maker or you're working on any kind of product, so any problem you're facing, anyone can answer this.
These are all, there are three answers I can say. It depends upon the type of the application. I can say, Himanshu.
Okay.
But right now, right now I'm not working on it. So, but
Okay, got it. So this can be anything. Like speed of implementation is if you're working on your personal products or personal projects, speed of implementation is very crucial in this, or building any proof of concept or any application, any project you are building. So speed of implementation is important because you need to implement that as well as you need to show it to to client or anyone. Okay, so that's what one of the major part. If you are working individually, if you're working with a team, unpredictable cost is obviously there will be an issue, because if you suggest your team to go for APIs and the bill is so huge, so it will be an issue. Okay, data security compliance. If this is your challenge, then make sure we have the on-prem solution, and you need to achieve superior performance. Then again, you have open source to fine tune on your specific data. Okay, for example, I have working with homeopathy, um, okay, with a doctor, and there's a hospital involved and so on. So I need superior performance. Okay, they want 100% accuracy, and to achieve 100% accuracy, we need to fine tune it on their data, their authenticate data. Okay, if their data is authenticated, then it's fine to go for fine tuning, and or best to go for fine tuning for superior performance. Okay, so these are some factors, and based on it, you can go for your decision. Okay, now the second chapter in this is total cost of ownership. Okay, so when you building these solution, there is a hidden cost involved. Okay, when you
So,
build, sorry.
sorry to interrupt you. So there should be a hybrid solutions as well, right? Sometimes you go cloud and sometimes you go
Yeah,
on-prem. Uh,
yes, we are coming to hybrid. That is last part of the session.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, good. Yes.
yeah. All right. So the second part is total cost of ownership. When you build these solutions, you always find some hidden cost in it. Okay, when you think, okay, let's go for open source that is already being built somewhere, so we are just going to use it. No, that's not the part. What will happen is you are going to um, the issue is you need an expert AI engineer or machine learning engineer to build it, integrate your open source, integrate your data, and deploy it somewhere and monitor it, and a whole lot of MLOps phases to taken care of. Okay, so that talent you need to implement those. Okay, so there's a hidden cost of doing that. There's a hidden cost of infrastructure you need someone to take care of that infrastructure as well. Okay, so there's a whole lot of hidden cost associated with when you go for open source. And when you go for APIs, there is also hidden cost available. Okay, because what is happening here is, let's say I am focusing on, let's start with the first part, that is success text. I'm calling it success text of APIs. What it means that um, cost is specifying, it will specify. For example, I'm going OpenAI APIs, I'm using OpenAI APIs, and the cost is mentioned there that you need to pay $20 per month for one particular user, and there's a limit to this amount of tokens. Okay, when you pass any kind of text, it will give you uh, it contains token. Okay, so let me show you that example also. OpenAI tokenizer. Okay, so OpenAI have this tokenizer. um, if I join the AI, okay, so you can see if I'm using GPT-4 or GPT-4 or mini, this is my sentence. There are 5 tokens in it. Okay, let's go for I. Okay, so this is my, there are 4 words in it, but it is considering 9 tokens here, because it is breaking down those words into subwords. Okay, there are 25 characters, but there are subwords also. You can see the colors. Okay, there is a specific ID to each token internally. You can see this. Okay, there are 9 tokens and you can find 9 values here. Okay, uh, these are just specific numbers associated to specific subwords in a text. Okay, now the thing is, that is what token is. Okay, it works on,
Here 4 tokens only, right?
no, 9 tokens
Where where are 9?
here.
So the no, here you write I am
You can
uh,
see this here, 9 tokens and characters. Is it
oh,
visible?
yeah.
Yeah. So what is happening here? When you use any traditional way of converting a sentence into token, there are a way of, we call it word token. Word token means when you're using token technique, it will be considered as there are 4 words only. Okay, there are 4 tokens in it, but 4 tokens does not contain much more uh, information as compared to when you go for subwords token. So we are further breaking it down into smaller words. Okay, and that's how it is considering that it's a 9 token size. Okay, because they are going for subword tokens. Okay, there are different ways to do it. Whatever um, GPT model or whatever transformer you're using, it depends on that. But right now, what Chat GPT do internally, it is considering 9 tokens. Now, what will happen in this case is whenever you ask a question, let's say I ask something, um, how are you? Okay, this is my question, and Chat GPT responded with this particular part. Okay, Chat GPT responded, I am fine. What about you? Okay, this is my question. Okay, now what will happen in this case is if I ask another question, um, let's say, what is an apple? Okay, this is the next question I asked. So what will happen? It will pass the previous information as well. Okay, now this time 17 tokens will be passed, not this 4 ones. Okay, 4 words, but also the previous ones as well to understand the context. So in order to in order the model to understand what you're trying to say, or the previous information you gave, or previous conversation you gave, all of these things will be passed again in the model. So what is happening is you're not just paying for the response you're getting, you're also paying for the questions you are asking. Okay, that's what the difference with that's what the cost is here. Okay, this is not just the cost that you asked how are you, which is fine, and it generated I am fine, how, what about you. So you are thinking that it is only going to charge me for this. No, it is going to charge you for the question you are asking, because this is again a token, as well as the response you're getting, which is again a token, as well as if you ask another question, the previous parts will also be passed into it, and there will be 17 tokens now which will be passed inside it, and it will charge you accordingly. Right now there's a per thousand token very few charge you get, that for per thousand token um, you can pay $0.1 like that, very few. But what will happen is when your whole company is using it, or where millions of users are using it, or hundreds of users are using it, the cost will go high. Okay, so you'll understand a very small part here, that how the cost is going to be, or how they are going to charge. Okay, now that's what the success text for API is. Okay, so you can think of it's predictable, but when you scale it, it will be huge. Okay, so I added an example here that they used AI, and what had happened, the API bill exceeded 500,000. Okay, so obviously when you scale it, 500,000 is not feasible. Okay, in which in 500,000 you can build your own system. Okay, so So that's what happened. Even if they got success in their implementation, the issue is cost. Okay, it's a huge cost. Okay, so it's kind of a text they gave for that particular implementation. Okay, so that's what the first part is. Okay, the second part is the hidden cost. I gave you the hidden cost, that when you scale it, um, that's how it is going to look like, utilization versus the cost. So both will increase over time, both will increase. Okay, um, as I said, initially you implement it for 10 of your employees, then over time you realize that all of your employees are using it. They are generating thousands of requests per day. Okay, and you are ultimately got billed from it. Okay, so in both the cases, even if you go for APIs or going for open source, which is hosted on AWS, okay, as the utilization, the usage goes up, the cost will also go up. Okay, both the things will go up. Got it? Okay, so um, in open source it may be stagnant, or it may be, you can say, after some time it will be a constant when you talk about open source. Otherwise it will be, um, the cost is like a straight line in when you are using APIs. Okay, now why this happens with open source? Because you are building for your employees. Let's say there are 500 employees, and even if you hire someone, there will be a fewer requests increase. For example, from 500 to 600 maximum, then 700, then 800, like that. You cannot hire 5,000 people together. So that's again a challenge. So that's why this cost is going to increase over the utilization, but after some point it will, initially it will be huge when you're going for open. So this orange one is open source. Okay, so as we go up, after that, after some point it will be constant, you can say. Okay, got it? So that's what this is. That's what this success text is. Okay, when you talk about hidden costs, there are three major parts here when you are building open source. Okay, so you have to come up with GPU servers. So when you talk about NVIDIA H100, there is a upfront cost for $30,000. Okay, so thousands of dollars per month to rent it. If you want to buy it, it is $30,000. Okay, so GPU cost will be the right away cost when you decide to go for open source. So GPU cost is a right away cost. Okay, you need networking, the storage part, the electricity, the cooling, all of these, the infrastructure you need. So major parts for the infrastructure will be this. Okay, now because your top priority is your control and privacy, you can figure out this cost. Okay, if your company is, because I have seen this in most of the companies, enterprise companies, and a lot of companies focus on going for open source and building their own solution on their on premise solutions. Okay, why? And they are okay with implementing this because, again, initially it looked like that we are investing a lot, but over time that cost will be constant. It will reduce the overall API cost with a large extent. Okay, so that's a smart decision to make. But again, what exactly you are doing with that? Okay, so we also have, when you implement that, the second thing is talent. Who is going to implement that? Who is going to taken care of the GPU clusters? Okay, so there is a huge salary you will give to these talents. Okay, and obviously this is the major skill, the major gap going on is AI skills. Okay, there's a huge opportunity for AI engineers also. Okay, so that's the thing with talent. So you have the opportunity if you are going for AI engineering, and if you are focusing on the leadership part, you should understand the jargons and to make a decision out of it. Okay, and the third part is maintenance and operations. So obviously monitoring is important, uh, patching, security. If suddenly model behaving in a different way, you need to focus on the model drifts as well. Okay, all of these changes should be monitored, and it will do the you should do the maintenance and so on. Okay, that's what the hidden cost here is. Okay, let me show you a simple demo for a tool I created you through vibe coding. Okay, which is this one. Okay, this is a simple tool to understand the total cost of ownership. Okay, it's a very simple tool I created here. So let's start with this one. Let's say how many million tokens I have. Let's say I'm going for uh, I need to mention that how many million tokens I want. Okay, so let's say I'm thinking of, let's say, going for um, point 0.5 million tokens. Okay, zero point 0.5 million I'm thinking of because I have a small team, or um, that is fine. If I want to specify any anyone here, let's say very small parts, CPUs, everything is mentioned here. Now the thing is, when you go for zero point 0.5 million, so API cloud API cost is going to be, after some point it will be high, but for open source it will be constant. Okay, initially there will be upfront cost, but over time it will be like this. So in this case, I don't want to go for open source because it's a very small number. Okay, zero point 0.5 million tokens. You are seeing here that whenever I ask a simple, I'm using simple words, but the token size is huge. When I use a document, it will be even huge. Okay, so in that case, let's go for, if I go for 100 million tokens. So you can see for 100 million tokens, the cloud API cost will be 2000. And how it is giving that? Because I'm using, let's say, uh, OpenAI. So OpenAI is charging $15 per million tokens. And how many tokens? I have 100 million tokens. So if I go for OpenAI, it is showing that uh, pay per use pricing. So it will be $1,500. Okay. When you talk about open source, if in this case, if you go for open source for 100 million, the issue is you need to go for infrastructure, talent, maintenance, everything will be included, and there's a huge cost in it. Now let's move forward with 1,000 million. Then you have 10,000 million requests. Now it will be very feasible because um, when you build this solution, there will be thousands of users using it continuously on your system, and there will be, obviously the requests will hit million soon. Okay, with this kind of thing. Okay, you can also pull the real-time pricing from AWS or Azure if you're specifying any let's say I'm going for this GCP. So for GCP, for 10,000 million tokens, it is less as compared to the cloud API. Okay, if I'm building my own comparator. Okay, so you can see there is a very small cost associated with it. Okay, so that's a very simple tool which you can play around, and you can specify what to use, what not to use, number of GPUs. If you want to increase the salary, so you can increase that as well. Let's say I am paying $15,000 per month to engineers, or let's say I'm giving to 20,000 um, per month salary to um, the ML engineers. How many engineers are there? So there are, let's say, 4 engineers. So the cost will increase like this. Okay. Maintenance per month will be there. Okay. The server cost, the infrastructure, everything. Okay, you can see it's the cost is huge for open source, but again, uh, number of million to number of usage you can say, and how many do you have the talent and everything to implement that, and so on. So that's how these companies do. So you can use this tool to play around. There are a couple of things I want to add here that I will do later on. So just to make it better. Okay. Other than that, you can just play around with it, and you can also download um, the. I'm working on the downloading the um, report, but when you hit submit, maybe you not get the report on your email, but I will get the notification that you entered something. So it is not completed yet, yeah, but I will complete that. So this is a simple tool you can use. Now, next thing is understanding the um control and mode document. And obviously, when you are building your using open source and building your own product or building your own solution, okay, there's a moat in it. Moat is basically the competitive advantage you have. Okay, the advantage of your company, the competitive advantage. You're building it for a specific, you are from a finance domain and you're building it for finance domain. So you already have knowledge of finance. So that's again a huge plus. Okay, so you have two things in this. One is defensive mode, okay, the compliance part, and the other one is offensive mode, which is the your advantage, defensive advantage or offensive advantage, you can say. When you talk about defensive advantage, there are all of these HIPAA is available, GDPR is, a lot of other compliances available for this. Okay, and for most of the companies who are taking care of these level of clients, the healthcare clients and the government sector clients and sensitive data and these kind of things are involved, so there is no choice for them to go for open source to cloud APIs. They have to go for open source. There is no other option. Okay, so that way the defensive, your competitive advantage in defensive manner will be this. Okay, so obviously you're not going to give health information data to any other public API. Okay, so that's the violation of all of those potential risk and everything. Okay, so that's the key, that's to keep in mind that if you are dealing with um, any of the companies or any of the client which are following these guidelines, then the only option you have is open source. Okay, obviously because obvious reasons you don't want to share the data with any private company or any public API. Okay, the offensive mode is customization. Okay, obviously you can't ask a public API to learn your secrets. Okay, I have, I know how to train someone. Okay, and I have the knowledge for more close to a decade now, and based on it, all the knowledge I have, I don't want to share it or nobody going to access it. Okay, until I am going to provide to an public API or write it somewhere. Okay, so that you can train your model. Okay, so um, so that's what your competitive advantage is. If you have a proprietary data, you can fine tune it on open source model, and you can build a world class expert in in your specific domain. Okay, for example, law firm example is here. You can fine tune a model with 20 years of its own case files to produce drafting assistance that no generic API can match. Okay, and nobody going to beat that because they are trained their own model with 20 years of their own experience. Okay, got it? So this is the most important part you need to keep in mind, that if you have your own data, fine tune it and make a exceptional um, GPT or exceptional assistant for your own company. Okay. Now the question is, if you were to self-host a model, what will be the primary motivation? Okay, we must for compliance and privacy. Obviously, if you are integrating with any regulations or government entities who are following those HIPAA and GDPR guidelines, then obviously that's a defensive mode. Offensive, when you want to build your own unique IP. That's the example here, that you are building your own law firm assistant. Okay, the cost is that when you scale it down, when you scale it, you are going to, it will be cheaper. Okay, and the performance is obviously you want specialized accuracy. So you can pick any of those. If you want to answer this, let me know. All right. The last part is hybrid fleet, and this is the best part, obviously. And most of the companies go for this particular part, and they should go for this particular part if needed. Okay. So let's say there are two parts in this. The future isn't either or. Okay, it's hybrid. You will see these kind of solution. I personally focus on hybrid solution more. If somebody asking how, hi, how are you, to a law firm assistant, for example, you build a law firm assistant, and somebody is asking how high, general, it is asking general questions. So the thing is, we didn't train it for general answers. Okay, so those requested, those questions will be diverted towards the API. Okay, I don't want to process my GPU for this particular uh, like very simple questions. Okay, so I will divert it towards my some external API which is either free or available on a very small price. Okay, and if somebody is asking for a complex answer, okay, then I will divert it towards my own model that I created after fine tuning on my 20 years of law firm data. Okay, so that's how you build a hybrid fleet. Okay, which means that based on the questions or based on the user interactions, we are deciding whether to call an API or when to call the open source. Okay, because when you call the open source, the whole process will do, and a lot of other things are going to happen. The API is again the similar part, but depending upon the cost, you can go for hybrid solution, and this is the best thing to do. Okay, if I talk about the either or part, okay, so the most sophisticated companies aren't choosing one. Okay, they are choosing both. One of the example is perplexity. Okay, so uh, we don't know what exactly is happening, but when you ask a question or perplexity, it is going to go for hybrid approach for different cases, for RAG integrations, how what type of RAG integration or strategy it is going to use, what type of one thing it will do, how it is going to do the research. It is going hybrid in that case as well. Okay, not specific to APIs and open source, but on other strategies it is using to pulling information. In a similar way, we are doing this um, for APIs and open source as well. Okay, so uh, let's say a customer asked a question, okay, which is obviously a non-sensitive thing. So um, so we just go for a let's say open source model. We'll select the open source model and it will generate a response, and it will be cheap in this case. And if it is, let's say, asking about a complex question about marketing or any and writing, write me about the marketing campaign, like that, this kind of question. So obviously my open source is not designed for that. Okay, my open source is designed for very specific customer support part, which is available, trained on, fine tuned on my data. Okay, now we got a generalized question. So for that, I will call the API and generate a response using ChatGPT or any other API. Okay, so we um, we go for on-premise solution or open source only if there is a request for that. Otherwise, we will push our queries to APIs as well to get a response. Okay. So the whole objective here is using the right model for the right job. Okay, so that way we'll go for cost, performance, and security, like that. Okay, so these are the option for you. Now, hybrid fleet model router. Okay, you can create a model router which will be covering these three things: the powerful API, the fast and cheap open source model, the secure fine-tuned model that you created. Okay, all the things are available to you. All three are different. Okay, you are using an open source model and hosted it differently. Okay, and you fine tune your model for law firm, let's say, which is on premise, nobody have the access to it but your own customers. Okay, if you want to know the flow of it, it will look like this. There's a user query. I created a model router. The model router is going to decide which requests, where to go for, whether to go for any API, whether to go for open source model that we created, whether to go for our on-premise solution, which is there's a model which is fine-tuned on our law firm data. Okay, got it. So that's the major part of hybrid fleet model router. Okay, got it. So that's what the whole point is. We covered all of these parts. We understood the landscape. We understood total cost of ownership. I added a tool as well, so you can use that tool. Um, there's a control mode argument is available, which means what's your advantage in the market, and you have a hybrid fleet model, okay, that you can use. Okay, so all of these things we covered, and that's it. If you want to ask any questions, you can ask. There are some resources I added here, so that's thing. And
How you
yeah,
how you create the router? Hmm. Himanshu, model router.
so model router is again depends on the query. You have to like do the if else part, or you can fine tune a smaller model as well for this particular thing to decide. This decision is also created by uh, different strategies. You can use an AI agent also for this if you want.
Hmm.
But if there's a specific part types of query you're getting, you can decide on that. And if you're using hybrid, ultimately your cost will be reduced.
Yeah.
So you can automate as well, or you can write your own script for, okay, if somebody asks these kind of questions, then go for API. If somebody asks these kind of questions, go for this one. Or if somebody asks not both of these questions, so all other requests will go for fine tuning, fine tune model, on-premise model.
Hmm. I got it.
Yeah. Now I want to share two things. One is the AI Engineer HQ. So we are starting on 23rd July. Okay, and you can see this is there will be 3 sessions in a week: on Wednesday, Thursday, actual bootcamp sessions, and Sundays are vibe coding session, guest sessions, or doubts or project demos. One of the example for this will be tomorrow, so you can join that on the same timing, 9 a.m. Okay, so that's it. Okay, that's it for today's session. If you have any questions, you can ask. Recordings and other resources will be provided to you. I will send it on the mail, so you will get it directly. Okay. And if you have any questions, you can email me, or you can ask your questions later on or on the Discord server. You can check the Discord server as well. You can ask your questions here. And tomorrow, this is the event going on. Okay, ask me anything. So this session will be, you can join this. It will be on AI voice. Okay, AI voice is this. Okay, so you can join this channel for at 9 a.m. You can ask your questions. It's the general questions and answers. Okay, that's it. So thank you so much for joining the webinar. And if you have any questions, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll meet in next week, next Saturday, for another workshop. Okay.
Yeah, good night. Thank you.